Addiction is an urge to do something that is hard to control or stop. Last year, over 67,000 Americans lost their lives to overdoses. Hi, I'm Richard Preston. I'm a recovering addict, and I'm here to talk about thriving during COVID-19.
In these times that we are facing with the pandemic, with the breaks in our economy, with the situations with the killings of Black and brown people at the hands of the police, with protesting and everything that has been happening in our times, mental health has been at a very weak end for many of us.
Make plenty of time for self-care.
Positivity, of energy.
We haven't given the time to ourselves to really dig deep.
Thriving during COVID-19. Stress is particularly problematic with people with addictions. Let's talk about isolation. Isolation, as we have known from being a child, is typically a form of punishment. Whenever we did something bad, we were sent to our rooms, isolation. We were sent to timeout, isolation. Or they would make us stand in the corner, which is also a form of isolation. In addiction, to help us cope and to recover, we rely. And when I say we, I'm talking about people in recovery. We rely on the human contact. Stresses of illnesses, stresses of unemployment, stresses of social isolation can be very harmful for people in recovery. What I'd like to talk about next is embracing social distancing, but not emotional distancing. Staying in touch with your support community during this pandemic is so very vital. With today's technology, it's not a hard thing to do. We have all the virtual tools at our disposal. So your virtual life has become part of your recovery life. Make plenty of time for self-care. That includes physical care as well as mental care. Also, folks, it's a great time now to explore new interests. Some people have come to me and told me that they're trying their hand at knitting or sewing, and some people are even telling me that they're starting to do a little cooking. You may even want to write that book that's been in your mind the whole time. Everybody has a book in them. This might be the perfect time to put that on paper. Might also be a good time to go back to college. Many of us have college aspirations as an 18-year-old or 25-year-old that we never finished. This might be a perfect time to take some online courses. One of the things that I did during the pandemic was I tried my hand at the piano. My wife bought me a piano a couple of years ago for my birthday, and I never touched it. But since I have a lot of time on my hands and I'm doing most of the things virtually from home, I'm trying my hand at the piano. Again, my name is Richard Preston, and I am the author of 2 books on addiction. My first book is entitled Serenity Granted, Accepting Hardship as a Pathway to Peace. And my second book is entitled Absence of Serenity, The Unseen Struggles with Addiction. I am also the co-chair of the Northeast Florida Opioid and Heroin Task Force Education Committee through Drug Free Duval, and I sit on the board of directors for River Region Human Services. I'm the owner of New Life Jack's Recovery Services, which is a sober living community where addicts come together and we share like practices to maintain a sober environment.
Thriving during
COVID-19.
Do I have people around me who support me? Do I have people who are in my corner who can help and support me during this time? And it is very important to have this in your arsenal if we're going to survive and thrive during this time. So mental health issues being experienced at this time is not abnormal. It's very normal because all of us as beings have a mental state that is worth and need to be protected and cared for. During this pandemic, many of us have ended up having to stay at home, and that can lead to a development of a lot of mental stressors such as loneliness, depression, anxiety, because we have no idea what is happening in our society. But one of the major things that has happened during this pandemic, because of people having to stay home, is an increase in abuses, child abuse, domestic violence, elderly abuse. And unfortunately, many times there is no outlet for those that are in the home because those outlets have been taken away. Children could find solace going to school so they do not have to be abused. Women are able to find solace because they could go to work and not have to be around their abuser. Elderly people could get services in different areas to get them out of negative situations. But because of the pandemic, we are forced to having to stay in places that may not be most optimal for us. Abuse is wrong. And there are still services out there if you are experiencing abuse, and it is for you to reach out to. You do not have to stay a victim of someone who is being derogatory towards you, who is physically harming you, who is mentally degrading you, who is emotionally stifling you. Abuse shows up in many different ways. It is not simply just someone putting hands on you. It can be someone who destroys your self-worth. It can be someone who isolates you from the rest of your family and friends and your support system. It can be someone who shows you no attention at all. They completely neglect you. All of these are forms of abuse. And if it is happening on a constant basis, you still have resources that you can reach out to. For children, you have different centers that will take you in to help you get relief from the abuse that you're dealing with. One example being the Youth Crisis Center. Women, you have resources that you can go to if you are experiencing abuse from a partner, and they will accept you and your children. One example is the Hubbard House. Elderly, you too can receive services for what it is that you may be experiencing. And you can reach out to any social system here in the city and they will be there for you. You are worth being loved. You are worth being cared for. You are worth being in a happy, stable, and loving, joyful environment. You are not someone's punching bag. You are not someone's beating stick. You are someone of worth. And all of us have gone through situations where we have felt less than. All of us have had at one point or another in time questioned whether or not we are worth something. And I'm here to tell you, you are worth something. No child is born an accident or a mistake. Every single one of us is here for a purpose and for a reason. And it is up to us to find that, but to also surround ourselves with people that will support and uplift us. And if you are experiencing mental issues, it is important to reach out. Reach out to a trusted family member, a trusted friend, a support group, a social service advisor. If you are someone who is a part of a religion, to your religious leader, or someone within your congregation that you feel that you can trust. But it is important to get those services. But as I mentioned before, mental illness is just like physical health. And just as though you may ask others for some type of information about, hey, I'm experiencing these symptoms, what do you think I could do to deal with that? you also still need to seek professional help. And in any short Google search, you can find the one that is best for you. Some places that we have Riverside, we have Daniel Center, we have, as I mentioned, the Youth Crisis Center, and we have various organizations across the city that can give you the services that you need. But when you are in your deepest, darkest times and you have no one to reach out to, you're worried and you are distressed with the situations that you have to be facing, there are things that you can do to help to support yourself. One of the things that you can do that is very simple is journaling. Writing down your feelings, giving a voice to the feelings that you are feeling on the inside. Sometimes seeing those words on paper will help you to really come to the recognition of what it is that you're going through and realize that this is not right and that you are deserving of better. Another thing that you can do is you can use different self-help books that will be available to you through online platforms. So not only just the Kindle, but there are reading books through Amazon, and there are different streaming services that have books available that you have access to that you could read to help uplift yourself. Another thing that you can do that does not cost you anything is meditation. No matter what your religious background is, meditation is a very important component of that religion. What meditation does is to help quiet the spirit and quiet the mind, to give you a place that you can go to really allow yourself to relax and to see and think clearly about the things that you are dealing with and what is the best route in which to get through this situation. Another self-help that you can do is, as I mentioned before, finding a trusted person that you can tell your story to, that you can talk to and reach out to let them know, this is what I am dealing with and I need someone to hear me. You'd be surprised the resources that are available to you just by simply speaking up. But all of us are going through something right now, whether it be feelings of grief, of helplessness or hopelessness, of distrust, of despair, feelings of being hurt, discouragement. All of this is normal. None of this is your fault either. Many of us have lost jobs and income during this time. So now we're dealing with the real issues of losing our home or our cars or resources to be able to put food on the table. But things will get better. You will survive this and you will thrive. And there are people out there that will help you to get to the next level and to make it to the next level. All you have to do is reach out and ask. If you need someone to talk to, I am here for you as well. And I would be more than happy to hold your hand and walk you through these situations. But you are going to make it. Our mental health is important. It is normal to be distressed, and it is normal to feel as if things won't get better. But I promise you, as you continue to move forward, to stay in the positive, to reach out for help, because you cannot make this journey alone. And as you recognize the importance that your mind and your spirit has to be in alignment with everything else, then you will find other things lining up in your life. Your health will be restored and your joy can be restored. It only takes you reaching out, recognizing that your mental being is just as important as your physical being, is just as important as every other aspect of your life. And you do not have to think of yourself as being odd because of what it is that you're experiencing. I invite you to connect, to remember that you are not an island. You are someone of worth. You are important and you are needed for someone in your life. You mean the world to at least one person. And that is a wonderful thing to know and to experience. I love you. I'm here for you. Be encouraged. God bless.
Once again, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this special edition of Thriving During COVID-19. Make plenty of time for self-care.
Positivity of energy.
We haven't given the time to ourselves to really dig deep.
Thriving during COVID-19.